Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be how to avoid talking, texting, and chasing women out of your life. Well, this particular email comes all the way from the land down under, Australia. And so it's from a guy who's originally from India. And so he met a really attractive, beautiful Aussie woman who had super high interest. I'd put her interest probably at a 7 or an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 that I discuss in 3%, the chapter It's All in the Numbers. Because she even goes as far as to ask this guy out. And the reason why I selected this email, I mean, this guy's brand new to my work, but he just details what a lot of us guys have experienced when we didn't know any better. And so it's a good email to learn from and what not to do, because there's so many details in here, things he does, things he says. You can tell he starts acting needy. He acts neurotic. He's double, triple texting. He's calling. He initially skates on his looks, and the more he interacts with this particular woman that really liked him, he's talking her out of liking him, texting her out of liking him, and basically chasing her right out of his life. And he doesn't know any better. Because as she starts to back off a little bit after being really into him for the first few days, he just totally comes apart. So, with that said, let's go through his email. He says, "Hello, Coach. I'm Bob from India." Amazing, they have Bobs in India, too. "Currently, I'm in Australia for studies. I met this beautiful Aussie woman in a train while going to a club, and we instantly got connected. And apparently, she asked me out. We were totally into each other, making out in the club, and she asked me to take her for dinner and gave me her number without even me asking for it." Well, that's just pretty much the definition of attraction is not a choice. He meets her, she meets him, strong attraction. And it starts out kind of like a Disney movie, like it should. But what invariably happens in these situations is most men don't understand that women are kind of like cats. And so if you spend a bunch of days together, a lot of time together, hooking up, hanging out, is that after a few days of a whirlwind beginning of a romance like this, women are just naturally going to back off. It's almost like when you part ways, it's like their interest is less, or the enthusiasm is less. And for a guy that didn't get enough strokes, I love yous, enough hugs from mom and dad, right away you're going to think, oh, something's wrong, I got to fix it, which then is the illusion of action, and you think you got to do something to get her to like you more. Instead of just recognizing, hey, we just spent a bunch of time together. It's actually kind of nice to have some space and time away from her so I can get caught up on things I normally would have done, because this is not how you plan things. He's just going out to have some fun, runs into a girl on the train, they click, and then boom, they're just kind of always together for a few days. And then it starts to taper off. And when it tapers off, you got to be okay with that. You got to be totally indifferent to it. You got to be okay with spending 2 or 3 days together or talking 2 or 3 days in a row, and all of a sudden you might not hear from her for 2 or 3 days. And this is where guys typically just totally come unglued when that happens. But initially, this is kind of like love at first sight. This is like it comes off in the movies. But most guys are unable to maintain this interest in this romance, because what should happen is she'll back off for a few days, and then she reaches back out, and then he just makes the next date. You hang out, you have fun, you hook up. And when a girl's already reaching out to you and she's this into you from the get-go, you don't even have to pursue her. You just wait to hear from her and then make the next date when you do. And then within a matter of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, she'll probably be head over heels in love with you, which would be shorter than the average woman that takes between 6 and 8 weeks if you're following everything that's in the book. And if you're new, you can read 3% Man in the members area of my website. It's free. Just put your name, your email in there and create a password for yourself. And as soon as you hit submit, the book will open up right in your web browser, and you can read it right online on my website. You can try before you buy. Because the idea is we want you to avoid having things like this happen, because it ultimately ends with this guy getting friend zoned I think pretty much every guy has done stuff like this that didn't know any better, met a girl he really liked, who really liked her, and then as the weeks go by, she just starts to back off to the point where you get friend zoned or you get outright ghosted. And so an email like this with the amount of detail he's got in it is a really good email to learn from, because you can really see what the guy's doing wrong, what he's saying, what he's doing, that just turns her off. And so it's easy to point out these mistakes, because most of us guys that don't know any better and have consumed as much traditional TV and movies as we all typically have, you're going to be kind of brainwashed to do the wrong things. You're brainwashed into acting unnatural and unattractive, because when you've seen this archetype several thousand times from the time you're a little boy till you grow up, like this guy, I assume he's probably early 20s maybe. And so you've seen that archetype over and over and over again, and you get emotionally anchored to it. And so when you interact with a woman you really like, your emotional anchoring just kind of takes over, and you behave the way the TV programmed you to behave, which quite frankly is totally unattractive to a feminine woman. So he gets his number, and so he says, the next day I took her for drinks and to eat some Thai food. Everything was going good, and she told me that she feels this connection with me that she never felt before. Again, this is the kind of thing that people say, oh, it's love at first sight. And if he hadn't have talked and texted her and chased her out of liking him, it would have been a beautiful story. But it doesn't mean it's completely 100% over. He says, we met 3 times in a week, and we were intimate pretty much, and she was totally into me. The 3rd time she was at my place, and we were making out, and where she asked me if I loved her, and I said yes. I know I could have said something else, but I was so in the moment. So she could probably tell that you're getting a little dopey, a little drunk on your feelings. You're definitely highly infatuated. And it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. Women will like you more if they think that they're more into you than you are into them. Apparently, she reached home and sent me a text saying that she enjoyed time with me today and said thanks with a kiss emoji. From here, things start to take a little turn, and she acted cold for 2 days, and then for 2 days she disappeared. This is where the kitty cat analogy comes in. And so if you understand how women operate and you're familiar with the book, and all of a sudden after spending that much time, because you don't know each other, then all of a sudden you meet and now you spend 3 days together in the first week. That's a lot. Women would say, oh, I feel overwhelmed. And sometimes they notice that their feelings they're not as keen on the guy as they were 3 days earlier or 3 dates earlier when they first met and started hanging out. And so when that happens, the average woman is like, oh, how do I feel about this guy? Is he good for me? Do I like him? What does my girlfriend think? What does my mom think? What do my coworkers think? And so they got to talk and spend some time away from you and wonder about you. And so when this is going, because as it says in the book, a guy should initiate contact once per week max to set 1 date per week. And the reason being is you're trying to go slower than the woman, because as you'll see here, this guy is trying to go too fast. And when you go too fast and you're too into it, and you start trying to lock her down right away and you treat her like a girlfriend, she'll say, I feel overwhelmed, I feel smothered, I need space, there's no chemistry, there's no spark, or I don't feel the same way I did in the beginning. Because the most important thing to understand is that for women, what matters most is how they feel about you, not how good looking you are, or what a good dude you are, how big your bank account is, how nice your car is. The only thing that matters is how they feel about you. And so this is totally normal and to be expected that she seems a little cold. And so more than likely, this guy was texting and reaching out and noticing, oh, wow, her replies are shorter. Why is she taking 4 hours to reply? Whereas before I would text her and within 10 minutes she's texting me back. Well, that's a little weird. Maybe she's mad at me. Maybe upset her. Let me see if I can fix it. Let me see what's wrong. Is everything okay? They'll start asking stuff like that. And it's the worst thing you can do. If your mom and dad gave you enough hugs and I love yous and somebody starts behaving this way, they're a little distant, you just go, oh, she must be busy. I'm sure when she gets freed up, she'll be in touch. then you just back off. And if you don't hear from her for a full week, then you'll reach out and try to set the next date. Apparently, she texted me back when I said that maybe I should give both of us some space. So it sounds like he's probably texting and she wasn't replying. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I should give us space. And she said I came on way too strong and she's not ready for a relationship. So what has happened is that she feels that he's ready to make her his girlfriend and lock her down. And she's thinking, I just met this guy. I don't even know him yet. How can he be that far along, whereas her feelings are just not there? And so that's typically the normal kind of things that you're going to hear from a woman. Hey, I'm not ready for a relationship. It just means you're moving too fast. It's pump the brakes. It's not the end of the world. You just have to recognize, oh, shit, I'm coming on too strong. I mean, she came right out and said it. He's like smothering her. So she likes him and she's trying to help him and give him some direction on what to do. But obviously, as you'll see, he didn't know what to do. He just had no game, and it was sloppy. And the more she backed off, the more he pursued, the more he chased, and it just doesn't end well. And I scheduled a phone call with her for a better understanding. So he's like, I got to fix it. This is the illusion of action. So she said, hey, you came on way too strong. I'm not ready for a relationship. I said, hey, no problem. We can just slow it down a little bit, Just take a couple of days and give me a call when you miss me terribly. Until then, have a great day. And just let her be. And then 2, 3, 4, 5 days go by. Hey, you. She'll reach back out. But obviously that didn't happen in this case. She tells me on a call that she's not ready, maybe because she doesn't know me and makes late night dinner plans with me, and asks me that if I can be her trainer in the gym as I'm into fitness. Apparently, we were to go into these things a week later because she was out of station, and I did not go no contact, and I kept texting her every now and then, and she used to text just once a day. Later, that she postponed the plans for the next day, and then again, saying that she may need to catch up once she's back from Thailand, where she was on a family trip. So you see now she's just kind of backing away. She's starting to cancel plans. Oh, let's do it tomorrow. Because the reason why she's putting the plans off is she's noticed that her interest has dropped and she's not really super excited to see him. So she puts it off thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll feel different tomorrow. She texts me Happy New Year and initiates the conversation at 12:30 a.m. on New Year's Eve and tells me about her traveling plans, but when I asked for a catch-up, she always goes silent. So if you know she's traveling and she'd been backing away and she's telling you about her travel plans, just say, well, that sounds like a blast. I can't wait to hear all about it. Hit me up when you're back in town. Happy New Year. And then I would dip from the conversation. But more than likely, he probably tried to stay up all night and, hey, let's talk, let's catch up, meaning he probably wanted to talk to her right then and there, which also communicated he wasn't doing anything else on New Year's. He's willing to drop everything for her. And, of course, she goes silent on him. He says for another week, she was totally gone, and then I started calling her. So, again, he's just being impatient. He's not waiting to hear from her. He's thinking, I got to do something. I got to get her back to the way she was those first couple days we spent together. And the more he chases, the more he pursues, the more he calls, the more he tries to shoehorn himself into her life, the more she's going to back away and become distant. And the more her interest is just going to continue plummeting. We plan a catch-up over a movie, and she cancels it at the last minute because she just didn't want to see you because her interest was low. So when I finally asked her that if she really wants to catch up or if it's a burden on her, she tells me all she wants to be is friends and does not see us working together in the future. I accepted that, but the next morning I said that if she wants to pursue what we had earlier, give me a call, or we can get to know each other, but let's not label anything. Now I'm in no contact and it's been 1 week. What should I do and how bad is my situation? Well, this girl was super into you. I put her initial interest and attraction at a 7 or an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. That's pretty high. And so you just you chased her out of your life. You talked, you texted her, then you started acting needy, desperate, double, triple texting, and then when you couldn't get a hold of her, you started calling her. And it just made you look needy and desperate and insecure. And those are not the actions of a guy who is successful with women. Those are the actions of a guy that never gets the girl. And if you're unable to get other girls, then the woman that you're talking to is going to recognize, oh, well, if other girls don't want you, well, I don't want you. And so that's where you got to read the book. I mean, it's free to read in the members area. All you got to do is subscribe, understandingrelationships.com. As soon as you get there, just put your name, your email, create a password. And again, as soon as you hit submit, the book will open right up in your web browser. You got to fill in your knowledge gap, dude, because you're doing and saying a lot of things that are just kind of rookie mistakes. And obviously people have been following me for a while are going to completely understand what's going on here. But obviously we have lots of new people here as well. So these are just the baseline fundamentals. What you did initially was good, but once she backed off, you didn't. You should have matched and mirrored that and just waited to hear from her. But instead, you kind of freaked out, and then you kept pursuing, and you kept acting needy and neurotic, and the opposite of confident. And the number one strength characteristic that women love in men is confidence. And when you behave the way you do, you're constantly communicating that you don't have any confidence. And that's obviously not only going to turn her off, but all women in general. And you were able to get by with it more with this girl than a normal girl just because her interest started out so high. So you were able to make more mistakes in the beginning and get further down the road and spend a bunch of time together. But at the end of the day, it still ended with you getting rejected. So at this point, you've told her, hey, get in touch if you change your mind or you want to pursue what we had earlier, as you said. Then I wouldn't call, I wouldn't text, I wouldn't reach out for any reason. In other words, she's dead to you. Unless you hear from her, the two of you will never ever speak again as long as you live, because she put the brakes on it. She said she doesn't see it working out, because the other thing you got to understand is most women, most relatively attractive women, have had this happen dozens of times. By the time they get to be in their early 20s, it's happened all through high school, probably even middle school. They met a guy, they liked the guy, they started talking to him, and then he just became needy and neurotic and over-pursued and chased and barraged her with texts and chasing to the point where she lost the feelings that she had for him. And so when you start behaving this way, she knows how it ends because she's been through this several times with other guys in the past. That's why most women just think their feelings are never going to return, because usually in almost 100% of these cases, the guy's just never backed off. He just keeps pursuing, keeps chasing, keeps trying to fix things. What's wrong? Give me another chance. He begs, he pleads. And it just further cements in her mind that she made the right decision by blowing the guy off. And so when you stop all forward movement and then you tell her, hey, well, get in touch if you change your mind. And then 4 or 5 days go by, a week goes by, maybe a couple of weeks goes by, then she reaches out. You should assume her interest bubbled back up, and then you just make the next date. And then you're just kind of following the script that's in 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back, the article and video I did several years ago, that in this case I would be following what that says. If she reaches out, invite her over to make dinner at your place, hang out, have fun, and hook up. Keep it really simple. But now that this has happened, your pursuit of her is over forever. You should not be calling her or texting her at all. You got to let her come to you. And if she reaches out, assume she wants to see you. Again, follow the script and send it. That's in 7 Principles to Get an Ex Back. So if you have a question or a challenge, or maybe you were in a similar situation where the girl went really cold on you, and maybe she's coming back, but it's not really progressing, and you want to get my help and feedback, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you guys haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify, or preferably you can join on our website, because you also get the email analysis that goes along with these video newsletters, the members only versions as well. And on the website, you can do a 7-day free trial, a monthly or an annual plan. And if you choose an annual plan, you get a 25% discount for paying the whole year's premium up front. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab when you get there. Sign up for a free trial today. We got hundreds and hundreds of exclusive members only videos, learning tools on all kinds of topics related to self-help, self-reliance, and obviously stuff to improve and master your game with the ladies. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.